I'd like to welcome you all to the Special Board Community Forum of the Orange County Board of Education, and we've titled it Strengthening California's Charter Schools at a Local and State Level. I'm Dr. Lisa Sparks. I'm the president of the Orange County Board of Education, and I'm here with my fellow board members and trustees as well as our panelists. And I could not be more proud to be attending this charter school forum. It could really not make me more proud of what we've done as a board in these last several years. Remember that old song, I was country when country wasn't cool? Well, guess what? My colleagues and I, we were charter when charter wasn't cool. But now it is. Recent polling shows 55% of California voters favor charter schools, up 8% since 2020. And it's really all about education and knowledge, and that's really the purpose of this forum today, is to really inform our community about the successes and the efficiencies of public charter schools, and really unmasking some of the myths about public charter schools. So recent polling shows not only that 55% of California voters are in favor of charter schools, but 70% of parents support charter schools, and 72% of parents say parents should have more public school choices. And I couldn't agree more. It's not always been this way, however. Many parents feel increasingly marginalized by the educational system, as you all know. With another statistic, 55% of parents feeling they have too little influence over California public schools. And that is a big reason why we're here today, to really highlight some of the misunderstandings, the myths, and shed light on the realities of what public charter schools can do in our various communities. As a board, we stayed the course for the last 4 years and are charging forward in terms of parental rights and really sunshining issues that parents care about while requiring accountability and excellence. That's how we got here, and that's why I'm even more excited about where we're headed these next several years. So thank you for coming this evening. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Mary Barkey, Mary Barkey, trustee, who organized this conference along with Dr. Ken Williams.
Thank you, Lisa. Well, I'm thrilled to be here, thrilled to see you. I know a lot of people will be joining us online as well as coming in person, and it's just really exciting that we have this opportunity with this incredible panel that you see here. So I'm not going to speak long because I know you want to hear from all of them, but I noticed during campaigning 4 years ago and just recently, this past June, that a lot of our community does not understand charter schools and what benefits they bring and how they prevent children from being trapped by their zip code. So we're really excited to let people know that there are free public charter schools that take all comers. And we don't want to see a child's life determined by their zip code or by a lottery. So we want to really expand our charter schools here in Orange County, and we hope that this will be the start of big things to come.
So if we can, I'm going to be introducing our guests. We have Mr. Walter Myers, the good Assemblyman Kevin Kiley running for Congress, my good Tim Shaw, and Lance Azumi, who's been the bread and butter of the Back to Education Basics for 3 decades now, and Senator Robert Huff, who is someone who we admire very much, and Richard Soto, who is here from the California Charter School Association. So each one of them, we're going to be able to just give 2 minutes, and then we're going to begin our forum in about 10 minutes. So,
and our newest trustee, George Valdez.
Yeah. Sorry, George.
Totally on the spot here. No one said I was going to be speaking, but just to introduce myself, I am George Valdez. It's nice to meet everyone. I am a supporter of charter schools. For me, it's an economics issue primarily. Milton Friedman said this as early as the 1950s, that you should not have a monopoly in any type of business model. Education is not really a business, but it is kind of a business. I do believe that we should be providing options to people. So I am a supporter of charter schools. Thank you.
And Trustee Shaw, would you like to say a couple words before we turn it to the panel?
Sure. Well, my name's Tim Shaw. I'm the vice president of the board this year, and it's been my experience in my life that when a young person is excited about learning, they're much more likely to engage and really participate and excel. And when we have a young person who's able to, maybe they excel at math and science, and they can go to a math and science academy or performing arts or whatever their interest is, my position's always been that we need to encourage that and let them go to school and be excited about learning, and if it's fun, they'll thrive and do well. And Charter schools might not be for everybody, for every young person, but it's a great option for some, and especially if at a young age you know what you want to do and want to kind of tailor your education. I think we should support that and encourage that and help those young people succeed.
All right, so not any favoritism. I'm just going to go from right to left. I'm going to start with Walter Myers.
Hi, I'm Walter Myers III. I'm an adjunct lecturer at Biola University at the Talbot School of Theology, and I'm also a new and recent board member of the Orange County Classical Academy, and I'm just really excited to be a part of that, of the charter school movement. Primarily what I'll talk about tonight is I'll give a little bit of history of charter schools and just emphasize the fact that charter schools are indeed public schools. And I don't think that they're competition with traditional public schools. What I think they demonstrate is they are a model for success. They show us what actually can be done in public schools. And if only the public schools would just simply wake up and say, hey, there are innovative ways that we could teach. There are innovative ways that we could actually run this, not as a business, but because it is public schools, but there's a way that they can run where they can be far more efficient and effective. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the results that we're seeing, that we're seeing particularly in New York City with the Success Academy. Thank you.
And next up, we have Assemblyman Kevin Kiley.
Thank you very much. It's really an honor to be here, and I want to thank the board for putting on or for giving me this opportunity. I have really been tremendously grateful for their leadership, really in setting an example for the whole state of how a county board of education can be such a tremendous force for good in a community and in a county, and can advance the principles of educational choice and reform that are the key to to allowing more children in our state to have a chance at an excellent education and being able to get the education that they deserve. Something that's actually in our state constitution is the right to a quality education for kids, but it's something that we are not doing for millions of kids in this state. So thank you for everything that you've done for this county and for the whole state of California. I've been in the legislature for the last 6 years. I've been on the education committee for most of that time and was the vice chair of the committee for several years, and have been battling on any number of fronts when it comes to trying to protect charters as an option within our public education system, because there have been a lot of attacks coming that have accelerated in recent years. And even before the sort of unusual circumstances of the last few years, I was a major advocate for charter schools for the reasons that were just discussed, because they flip around the traditional paradigm where there's regulation of inputs but no concern about educational outputs. With charters, you get freedom from the strictures of the education code, but you are accountable for student learning outcomes. And I think that's the much better model and the one that we ought to move towards. And of course, over the last couple of years, we've seen why the sort of choice and variety and options that charters provide is more important than ever. So looking forward very much to the panel.
And next, my friend Lance Zumi.
Well, thank you very much, Mary, and I want to thank the members of the board for putting this wonderful forum together, and also it's an honor to be on a panel with such distinguished members. I'm Lance Zumi. I'm the Senior Director of the Center for Education at the Pacific Research Institute. I'm also the former President of the Board of Governors of the California Community College System. And I've written a number of books on charter schools, studies on charter schools, and I think that some of the things that, for example, Mary said in her remarks are hit about what I'm going to be talking about today. I mean, Mary talked about the types of students who are served by charter schools, and I think that's one of the misconceptions that we have about charter schools, that they only serve a certain type of student, that maybe the charter schools cherry pick their students, that they cream the students, and that's not true. In many cases, and in my remarks I'll be going into specifics, in many cases these charter schools will educate the hardest to educate children in our state and in our society. And these are the kids who the regular public schools cannot deal with. And yet it's up to the charter schools to be able to ensure that these kids have a chance in life, have an opportunity for success. And I think that the other thing that I'm going to be talking about in my remarks, in which Tim Shaw pointed to, is the fact that charter schools have different models. I wrote a book, and I'll be talking about it, called Choosing Diversity, how charter schools promote diverse learning models and meet the diverse needs of parents and their children. And that's what charter schools are all about. I mean, when you get freedom, you get the freedom to be able to create the type of school using the type of learning model that, first of all, you believe will help the children in your community, but also meet the needs of those individual kids whose needs are not being met in the regular traditional system. And you look at the types of charter schools out there, that these charter schools are not just different from the regular public schools, they're very different from each other. And that's what we need to understand. Walter mentioned that he's on the board of the Orange County, the Classical Academy. I'll be talking a little bit about a classical academy in my remarks, but there are so many other charter schools that are very different than a classical academy charter school. But that's the greatness about charter schools, is that because they promote that type of freedom, because they are able to use that type of freedom and that flexibility in order to have these different models that children and their parents can then take advantage of, you will see that the results, as Walter and others will talk about, the results are going to be so incredible, and ones that the reason why all of us support charter schools so strongly. Thank you.
And last but not least, Ricardo Soto with the California Charter School Association. He's going to do his remarks during the forum.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much. Also wanted to appreciate the invitation to speak tonight. My name is Ricardo Soto. I'm the Chief Advocacy Officer and General Counsel for the California Charter School Association. We're a statewide membership organization. We have over 700 charter schools that are members of our organization. We provide technical assistance to them, but we also provide advocacy and policy guidance to those schools. I'm here tonight to mostly reinforce what everyone else has already said that they're going to be talking about, but from a technical perspective. I'll provide some information about what the charter school law in California actually says, what the purposes and the goals of the charter school law are, and also very specifics about how charter schools are serving many of the needs here in Orange County of students and families, and just provide additional technical expertise as to how the law works and how schools are trying to put forth high quality programs for their students, and the kind of results that we're seeing. So I'm looking forward to our conversation tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, and are there any questions that the media might have before we start the official forum? Any questions? Yes.
Yeah, this question could be for you. You mentioned earlier that this panel was sort of to dispel the myths of charter schools, and I know that one of the panelists touched on that already, but what are some of those other myths?
Right. Well, I think some of the panelists touched on it, but a lot of people don't understand that these are public schools, just like the public schools that people are familiar with. And a lot of parents don't know that they may not need to be tied to their zip code. If they're in an underperforming district, they might have a chance to attend a better school that's a better fit for their child's needs. It might be learning a certain language. It might be interest in the sciences. It might be interest in the performing arts. And their neighborhood school doesn't have that particular interest. So a lot of parents just don't know that and don't understand that there are choices out there. And so a lot of times it really helps to, as I like to say, the high tides lift up all the boats. And so the more innovation and competition you can put into the school system, it's better for all of society because you have a more educated population, more innovation, and an entrepreneurial spirit within the schools. And that really, I think, helps our communities at large, helps teachers to become better teachers both in public charter schools and in public schools as well. So that's just a little soundbite around that. And I notice we have the Honorable Gloria Romero here. So actually, if you wouldn't mind saying a few words before we move right into the panel?
Okay.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
just got off the freeway, so thank you so much. But let me thank the board for holding this very innovative forum. You know, in Sacramento, we pass laws, and California should really be honored because California was the second, we weren't first, but we were the second state in the nation to pass charter laws. And so it's been, 3 decades. And over that time, we've seen a proliferation of charter schools, but we can always do better. And here in Orange County, there is a concerted effort to make sure that there is access for parental school choice so that no child is ever bound by a zip code only. So I want to thank the board because even though we have good laws on the books, we've got strong laws, there is much more that can be done. And Orange County, recognized as a leader in the authorization of charters, new petitions, there are still many things that can be improved. And so tonight, hopefully, will not only be somewhat of a love fest about the importance of charters and the accessibility, but also a concrete recommendation of next steps that we can take to really hold our charters accountable and to ensure that parents have the strongest choices possible. So I want to thank all the people who are here tonight, as well as those who might be viewing on the network, and certainly the leadership of Orange County Board and the staff that work so hard to make sure that we have charters that are available for all of our families. So thank you.
And with that, I will just say let's take a 3-minute break and we'll all convene and we will start the forum. Thank you all for coming.